Hi everybody, welcome back to Cottoverdi. My name's Annette and today I've got a couple of exciting things. So the first thing is I've had another Dahlia tuber delivery. This is quite a small one, I've still got two more large ones to come, but this delivery includes all but one of them are brand new to me, so I'm super excited about those and I thought I'd take you through those varieties quickly. And then I've got some seeds to sow. These are, I think, slightly more interesting, and I've sown a couple of these before and I really love them in my garden and in flower arrangements, so I thought I'd show you those. And then I'm going to do a quick seedling tour update just to show you how my other seedlings are doing, and my ranunculus, sweet peas, things like that. So I'll do that at the end. So I thought I'd start with the Dahlia tubers that I've had delivered. I've had 5 delivered and they're all, I think, really unusual names as well. So the first one is called Orange Fubuki, and this is a deep pink with a soft orange decorative dahlia. It grows to 80 centimeters tall and it's got these, they're called fimbriated petals. So there's like a lot of sort of interesting structure to them. I think it's really pretty and I don't have many dahlias like this, so I'm really looking forward to having that one. The next one is called Olida, and this is dark pinky purple with yellow at the center. It's another decorative dahlia and apparently it's got a large bloom size, but I haven't actually been able to find the measurements for that anywhere, so we'll wait and see what the bloom size is on that, but it grows to 90 centimeters tall. The next one is called Millennia Fleur, and this is a warm pink dusted with gold at the center and the edges of the petals, and it's just described incredibly beautifully in the description from the supplier. It grows to 80 centimeters tall and the flower size is 10 centimeters. And the next one is called Paso Doble Dancer. I think is such a fun name. This one is described as decorative and also dinner plate, so I don't know which one it is, but clearly it's got very large flowers and they're a soft salmon pink with a really radiant yellow center, and they're about 18 centimeters. It says 18 to 20 centimeters. I always veer on being economical with the size, so let's say they're 18 centimeters large, the flowers, and it's going to grow to 1 meter high. And then the last one I've had delivered from this supplier is a bestseller here in the UK, definitely. It's called Jarry Winnie, and I lost a lot of my Jarry Winnies a few years ago, and so I wanted to make sure that I had Jarry Winnies to replace those. So I've ordered Jarry Winnie from a few suppliers. So Jarry Winnie is this lovely soft terracotta-y pink colour. It's a ball dahlia. It's super easy to mix in the garden. It's super easy to put in flower arrangements. It's a really good grower. You'll get lots of blooms from it. If you haven't got Jarry Winnie already, I highly recommend Jarry Winnie. That's why I'm replacing mine. So that's all the dahlias for today. I will definitely take you through the other dahlias that I'm having delivered when they arrive, but I want to wait for the deliveries to make sure that I get everything that's in those deliveries. I already know from one supplier that I haven't got everything that I wanted, but hopefully they're going to be able to replace it with something else interesting. So now I'm going to talk about the seeds I'm sowing today. If I've sown these seeds before, I'll put a picture up of how they looked in my garden or in arrangements. I didn't always take photos in the past or videos, but hopefully I'll be able to find something. So the first one I'm sowing today is called Cafea Lancelotta, which is a bat-faced Cuphea. And in my description on my, I have an Excel spreadsheet where I log everything that I've sown. So I sowed this last year and I loved it. And in my description, I've described it as a cross between a snap and a clarkia. If you look at the pictures, I don't know whether I took any really good photos of it last year. I didn't get it planted out quite soon enough, so it was a little bit wimpy, but I really loved it. So I'm sowing it again this year, and I'm hoping I'm going to get it into the beds in time for it to bulk up and get to the 80 centimeters tall that it's supposed to grow to. Mine did not grow to 80 centimeters last year, but I had lots of these really cute purple flowers. Oh, the variety I'm sowing today is called Purple Passion. So it's the same one I sowed before, and it's this sort of deep purpley blue colour, and the flowers are just really pretty and really interesting. They're quite small. It's very dainty in my opinion, certainly from my experience last year, but I'm really looking forward to having some more of those to be able to use in my garden. So when we sow these, we sow them onto the surface of the soil because they need light to germinate. They'll germinate between 18 and 20 degrees. So I'm probably going to put them on my heat mats, and I think they take 8 to 28 days to germinate. The next one I'm sowing is Didiscus, which I think is called a lace flower or lacy flower by some people. I know it as Didiscus. I haven't sown this before, and I've had these seeds for a year or two, so I really want to sow them this year. I want to see whether I like the flowers and whether they're useful to me. I'm hoping that these will go well in pots. So I'm sowing two different varieties. You can get a mixture, but I didn't want the blue ones. So I'm sowing Lacy Pink and Lacy White. In my description, because I write a little description, so in my little description, I've described them as a small coloured ammy. I think I was talking about the mixture, but obviously when I sow the white one, it will look a little bit like a small ammy. So it's got that sort of structure to the flower. Now these are half hardy annuals, so you know, I wouldn't sow them until now or a little bit later, maybe March, and they need darkness to germinate. So sow them deep. I'll probably make a dib in the little seed trays and then sow them in the dib and then, or the little dip, and then cover them with compost and vermiculite. And they need 20 to 22 degrees to germinate, and it'll take 2 to 3 weeks for those to germinate. So the next flower I'm sowing is super exciting. I love this. I sowed it 2 or 3 years ago and fell in love with it because they're these starry shaped flowers. Oh, I should say what they're called. They're called Gilia tricolor. It could be Gilia, but I think it's Gilia tricolor. And they're starry shaped flowers with this really intricate, mesmerizing center, and they're really small. So actually, I think they look really good in sort of eye level arrangements rather than necessarily in borders, but maybe in like a tall pot or planter, that would be good. And they do take quite a lot of neglect. So I think actually I might put some in a pot this year. They grow to 60 centimeters tall and 50 wide, and they can be direct sown if you want to. So just, you know, wait until nearer to your last frost and then direct sow them. But I'm going to sow mine into seed trays. I'm sowing two different varieties. So I'm sowing the ordinary one that doesn't have a sub-name, so just Gilia tricolor. And then I'm sowing another one called Felicitas Mix. And Felicitas Mix is just a lovely combination of different colours, and in fact that's the one that I've sown in the past. They need 18 to 21 degrees to germinate, so I'll put them on the heat mats, and they're going to take 15 to 21 days to germinate. So those Gilia are called bird's eyes. The next Gilia that I'm sowing is not called Gilia tricolor. This one's called Gilia capitata, and it is a Queen's Anne's thimbles, and they've got fern-like foliage, and then they've got these dense, almost spherical heads of blue flowers, and they look so pretty. They don't grow particularly tall. They grow to 40 centimeters by 50. That's what it says on my seed packet, but I have seen that some people grow them for cut flowers. Anyway, I really want to try these, so I'm going to sow them in exactly the same way as the other Gilia. Again, they can be direct sown if you want to, but I'm choosing to sow mine in seed trays because I feel like I've got more control, and then the cats won't dig them up. And then the last two things that I'm sowing today are Thalictrum, and Thalictrum is a meadow rue. I'm sowing two different varieties, and these are hardy perennials. So, you know, once I've sowed them, hopefully I'll just have plants for a long time to come, many years. The first one I'm sowing is called Thalictrum aquiligifolium, which is the French meadow rue, which is the purpley blue flowered one that I think is very common in garden centres and places like that. Obviously, this is a cheaper way to have the flowers. They grow to over 1 metre tall, 50 centimetres wide, so you get loads of blooms in that. They're super easy to sow. Just sow them onto the surface of compost, cover them in vermiculite. They need about 18 to 20 degrees to germinate, and they're going to take 15 to 21 days apparently. So the next one I'm sowing, I'm a little bit dubious about because it sounds like it's going to be a lot harder to germinate. This Thalictrum is called Theum Lucidum, and it's a shining meadow rue, and it's got these beautiful sort of creamy white flowers instead of the purple ones. So my seed packet says sow it into moist, well-drained seed compost, cover it with vermiculite or soil, and the ideal temperature is 13 to 16 degrees. And it basically says keep the compost moist at all times, and just put it in a cold greenhouse or a cool shady spot in your garden and wait. And it says that it needs a few months of cold, damp compost in order to germinate. So I am going to try my hardest to get these to germinate, and we'll see how we do. I'm going to put them in my cold frame, by the way. So that's it. I'm just going to get on with sowing my seeds, and then we'll take them through to my seed starting room and I'll show you how everything's doing in there. We're back here in my echoey seed starting room. I've turned all the lights and the fan off so that you can hear me and see me without flickering. And I'll just show you where I've put today's seeds. So my Cuphea and the Gilia are on the back here on a heat mat. This is the Didiscus on a heat mat here. And then down at the bottom here, on this, in this green container, let me move back a bit. In this green container here is where I put the Thalictrum aquiligifolium. The other Thalictrum, as I said, is going to go in my cold frames. Cosmo always follows me in here. So on the top shelf here on a heat mat, I've got my phlox. The creme brulee have germinated, but these haven't germinated. I've got one this morning, one phlox brilliant. The others haven't germinated yet. I sowed these about a week ago. So they're going to stay on the heat mat in darkness. And then next to them, I've actually changed what I'm doing because I read that somebody else had better results germinating their buplurum in darkness. So I've now covered my buplurum, and lo and behold, this morning, I have actually got one Garibaldi. No movement on anything else yet. And I sowed these also about a week ago. So my Malope Rose has germinated quite well. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 seedlings there. Hopefully I'll get a few more. This is my Phlox Creme Brulee. You can see all the little seedlings that germinated there. I think this was my freshest seed. My Scabious Dark Red, I've had good germination on that. So my snaps are growing nicely. I tend to keep them on the dry side. I haven't pricked them out yet. I really must do that. So they've definitely got their first true leaves. This is the Costa Lavender. So I need to thin them out and prick them out so that they've got more room to grow. You can see that the ones where they're less crowded are bigger and taller. So all of these are snaps. Those are snaps, and those at the back over there are snaps. This tray here is my Penstemon Twizzle Coral, and they're also getting their first set of true leaves. I really want to bury them a bit deeper. They got a bit leggy. So when I'm pricking out and potting on, I might do that. This is my Penstemon Chocolate Drop, and they're also doing really well. Oversowed, definitely. My Erigia and Carvinskianus, I thought they didn't have any true leaves, but actually they've all got true leaves. So they desperately need pricking out and separating so that they're all in their own individual cells like that one there. I mean, that's just ridiculous. They're not going to grow well like that. And then I've got my steeper here, and I'm really pleased, hang on, let me see if I can focus it, that I didn't bin the rest of them, because look, another one's germinated. So I've actually got 5 now and not just the 4 that I had originally. So maybe some of them are just a little bit slower to germinate. This is my Olea. This is how Olea grows. It finds it quite difficult to get rid of the seeds, the seed casing, but you can see it's getting its first set of true leaves. I'm trying to make sure it gets a good breeze every day so that they're nice and strong. These are my Lizzies. This is Voyage to First Love, and let me see if I can get it to focus. So they are definitely getting, I mean, they're tiny, but they're definitely getting their first set of true leaves. This is just how long it takes Lizzies to grow, which is why we start them so early. But I think they're doing quite well, and what I'll probably do is just make sure I only have sort of 8 or 10 and that they're well spaced out. And I am feeding these now. So now that, as soon as they get their first set of true leaves, I start feeding everything. All my Lucies over there, they're all at pretty much the same stage, just being a little bit slow. So these I've shown you already, my Phlox, Scabious and Melope. The tray at the back here is doing quite well. So here we've got my Saponaria, and they're definitely getting their first set of true leaves. This is my Pitulus or Tilitus Jerry Mulla plant, and they haven't got any true leaves yet. This is my Persicaria. I'm not particularly impressed because they're not growing, they're not doing anything. This one, I mean, they've been up for ages. I have got a third one though. And then these are my Ladybells. Again, they're about as slow as snaps. I'd say they're almost getting their first set of true leaves. At the back here, these three are my Larkspur. And then this one on the end is the Eryngium. These are my Acerina or creeping snapdragons. I mean, they really do grow as slowly as any snapdragon I've ever known. Barely, I mean, only just getting their first true leaves. You can see this one here is just getting its first true leaves. And then these are my Schizanthus, also doing really well. They're nice and strong, definitely getting true leaves. They desperately need separating. So on this shelf here, with no heat, these are all the other Larkspur that haven't germinated yet. The new Thalictrum is there, and that's also another Larkspur that hasn't germinated yet. So this shelf here, these are on a heat mat. So these are some more Scabious, and you can see that they're starting to germinate. I'm just leaving them here with the cover on and on the heat mat until a few more have germinated. I mean, I don't want to move just one off. And, you know, they can be a little bit temperamental, especially if they've still got their seed casing on. And then this tray behind is the rest of my Melope. Interestingly, this is the seed packet, and these are my saved seeds. And I don't think any of my saved seeds have germinated. So we'll see whether they're just slower. This is my one Melope alba. This side here we've got some Scabious, Beaujolais bonnets. This is my Nautia. I've only had one Nautia germinate. It's lucky I've got loads in the garden. And this is one Orlea from the ones that I had the seed casings the other way up. And then this tray behind are all the things I sowed in January, and they are not doing anything at all. My Pimpinella, my Aruncus and my Hairy Chervil, nothing. This tray here are Penstemons. I did have one Heliotrope germinate, and it's now looking a little bit sickly, this one here. That one doesn't look too well, but I've had a second one germinate. So, I don't know. Don't know what to think there. They're not doing particularly well. I don't know why I'm finding it so hard. And this is my Monk's Rosenweed. Nothing's happened on that either. So not everything is successful yet. At the back, more Penstemons that haven't germinated, and these are my two new trays from today. And then this one tray here next to the ranunculus that I'm waiting to sprout, that's my Francoa, and they haven't germinated either. They're not on the heat mat. And right at the very bottom, these are the anemones I sowed the other day. They take a little bit longer than ranunculus to germinate, so I'm just waiting for those. This is all obviously still no heat on any of these, and they do have lights on during the day. And then that's just a few remaining ranunculus in there. So I've sort of got one and a bit trays still waiting to sprout. I really wanted to take you out and show you how the sweet peas and ranunculus are doing. They're all doing really well, but they're in the greenhouses and cold frames, and it's pouring with rain again today, so I'm not going to take the camera outside to show you that. I'll update you next time I do a seedling tour. Anyway, I really hope you've enjoyed this video today. If you have, please do give us a like. It really does help me. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel and you'd like to see more videos like this, then subscribe and join us. If you've got any questions, leave them in the comments below and I'll get back to you. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.